He has been on our program before when he was kind enough to be our host in beautiful Viroqua, Wisconsin. Back for me, back in the home part of the state of the Driftless area, the CEO and president of Wonderstate Coffee, which is the 2025 Roaster of the Year, Mr. TJ Semanchin, joins us via StreamYard. TJ, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How you doing, Todd?
I am fantastic because for
Great.
those watching on the stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, people know how much I enjoy Wonder State Coffee, and look what they got me for my birthday this year.
Oh,
A
nice.
beautiful mug here with the Wonder State logo on it. It is filled with Agua Blanca from Colombia. That's
Ooh,
my one of my
yeah.
favorites. I buy that a lot. And then this is a love hate thing, TJ, because their cafe on the square, they sell these amazing, addictive crack. No, it's not crack. It is the salted chocolate chunk cookie which I cannot get enough of.
Wow. You're getting the full effect there in the studio.
Yeah,
That's great.
it really is. So thank you for gearing me up and get me ready for the show today. Um, let's just start off a little bit. For those that might not have heard our previous shows, tell us a little bit about Wonder State Coffee, how it came about, and where it's located.
Yeah. So we are on our 20th year here in Viroqua. So as you mentioned, we're right in the heart of the Driftless region, close to your hometown.
Mhm.
And for our first 10 years in business, we were just a wholesale roastery. So we import coffee from around the world, from Africa, Central and South America, directly from small farmers. We're really rooted in supporting farmers. That's at the core of our mission. And the other side of our mission is providing extremely high quality coffee. So that's what we've been doing since 2005. And then in 2015, we opened our first retail location, our first cafe, and we now have three cafes. One right on the Capitol Square in Madison, our flagship store, and then we have one here in our hometown of Viroqua, and one up on the shores of Lake Superior in Bayfield, beautiful Bayfield. So we have three cafes now around the state. We sell online. We sell to local and national chains in the upper Midwest. We sell to independent coffee shops. We have some corporate campuses around Madison,
Mhm.
some of the larger corporate campuses where the employees can enjoy our coffee at work. So yeah, we're around the state, around the upper Midwest, and then we sell quite a bit on our website nationally as well.
Yeah, and one of the great things I love about Wonder State is your respect for the farmer. And I had a stint in coffee. I was honored to have friends in El Salvador, and I talked about that last segment more than political term. I never thought that my my knowledge of El Salvador and the politics of El Salvador would come into play on a show like this, but it has. That's where we're at. But I've spent a lot of time there, and I was very fortunate because TJ knows this, but if you're in the coffee industry, they talk about, oh, someday you'll get to go to origin, meaning where the coffee is grown. And I was kind of fortunate enough to start my coffee experience there and learn from it. Talk a little bit about at Wonder State Coffee, what that means. Do you visit and talk with farmers and that relationship and why that matters?
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of got my start in coffee a similar way. I was living in Costa Rica,
Oh, wow.
and so I was studying issues around sustainable development and just rural issues in Latin America.
Mm.
And so I was just living in the coffee lands and got to see firsthand the uh, the model of a small farmer coffee cooperative. The town
Mm.
I lived in, there was in Atenas, Costa Rica, there was Coop de Atenas, which was a coffee farmer cooperative. And so this was, small farmers who own their land, who own their cooperative, and own their product all the way to the final destination, and the empowerment that brings for rural farmers in Latin America. That the contrary to that, we studied that, and then the flip side was kind of bananas. And we, for those who know the history of banana republics and just how like banana and large multinational corporations have kind of, they control the land, they control the shipping, they control. I
Mm.
mean, back in the day, they controlled the country, right?
Yeah.
They planted their politicians, right? So
Mm.
they owned all segments of society. And whereas these democratically controlled coffee cooperatives really empower small farmers, and they keep those farmers on their land. They empower them. They give them a good return on their product. So those are the farmers that we're really committed to supporting. And in a lot of countries, and you probably have seen this in El Salvador, even in the coffee sector, there is really intense poverty.
Mm-hmm.
That there has been a lot of exploitation of coffee farmers, the workers, the laborers who work on the farms, and that has been, remnants of colonial power structures that persist till today. So part of what we work towards is balancing out those power structures, making sure farmers are getting their fair shake. We work directly with them. We travel constantly. Nick, our director of coffee, was just down in Nicaragua, Honduras, and Guatemala, visiting with the farmers, setting up the terms for next year's harvest. Our hopes and their hopes, and sharing, what we're all trying to get out of this mutually beneficial trade. And we have these relationships for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at the core of our business is really those relationships with the farmers and our commitment to them.
I could talk coffee for 2 hours with TJ here. We're talking to TJ Semanchin, President and CEO of Wonderstate Coffee in Wisconsin. But just one more, and then we'll kind of move on to the tariffs and USAID type of things. But just again, to put a fine point on this, TJ, because we tried to do something similar to what in our little coffee business, what you guys have done very successfully at Wonderstate, which was to put the emphasis on the farmer. And ultimately, for the reasons you just stated and more, that requires that you probably are going to have to charge more than, say, hey, a Folgers or whatever. And I'm not here to hate on anybody, but I think it's important for you just to talk a little bit about there are different levels of coffee. And if you buy low quality coffee, it can taste like crap, especially if it's prepared poorly. But if you buy higher quality coffee, which is oftentimes found in higher elevations in more rural areas, to your point, where the producer doesn't even have a car or truck to get their lot to market on the coast. And so what happens is, and I'll just pick on the big one, and not to say that there aren't good things about it in some ways, but you have a Starbucks will go up way up on the mountain and give that farmer the lowest price for the highest quality of coffee. And so then you have things like Cup of Excellence who allow farmers to have their really good coffee exposed to more buyers, and that gives the power back to the farmer. And so that's why it's important, in my opinion, to buy coffee at a couple of bucks higher from people like Wonderstate, because ultimately you're empowering the farmer. Am I wrong about that?
You stated it perfectly. Yeah, you're gonna be our spokesman. Yeah, that was perfect. So how critical it is to, our part of our vision is we love good coffee. We are we just love tasting things. We love the enjoyment of it, the morning cup, and have it be elevated, really treating it as a specialty beverage.
Yes.
That folks get this, right? Like, we know that sometimes you buy a $10 bottle of wine, and sometimes a 30, right. Or you buy your microbrewery, brewed beer, and right, that these come with an additional cost because they're higher quality, right? And coffee is in that same realm as a specialty beverage, that yes. It can be elevated. It could be an elevated experience, something that there's just really amazing nuanced flavors in the cup. And to pull that off, the farmers have to work a lot harder and be really intentional. And so we want to be right there with those farmers, especially those farmers who historically haven't had access to the market, haven't had access to the techniques and the post-harvest processing that results in this high quality. We want to work with them and build their capacity so they can keep getting a higher and higher price for their product and keep improving the livelihoods of their families. That's really at the core of this, is, trying to support farmers who are, just trying to improve their lives.
About 2.5 minutes left before our first break, TJ. Talk to us a little bit about, we look at what's happening with the Trump tariffs, and you think, well, that's happening in other places. Tell folks a little bit how this is affecting people in the Main Street Alliance here in Wisconsin, particularly folks like yourselves at Wonderstate who deal with commodities.
Yeah. So, wow, it's really brutal. It's brutal. What's happening for small businesses. These tariffs are directly hitting us, right? This is who pays for it. It's the businesses who are buying these products from literally, I am the guy who pays the tariff.
Yep.
Right. It is a direct increased cost of business. It's a tax. It's across the board. All of our coffee right now, 2 weeks ago, it was between 10 and 28% with the reciprocal tariffs. But right now, all of our coffee is going to get hit with a 10% tariff tax.
Wow.
That's just a boom, unexpected increased cost of business.
Mm.
I need to go out and find financing for that. I have to pay for that tariff upfront before we sell it to the end consumer, right? I got to come up with that cash. And so that's a scenario of, us our whole product line is from something that we import, something that cannot be grown in any volume in the United States. Between Hawaii and Puerto Rico, the U.S. produces like less than 0.5% of the world's production. Yeah. There's no way to replace coffee domestically, right? It is a product that grows in the tropics, and we have to import it. And so, that's a heavy hit for us. But I have been hearing stories of other small businesses who are just mom and pop shops who came up with a good idea and they brought a product to market. And where was that? Only place in the world that product could be produced at a lower volume is China.
Yeah.
Right. And they've set up a relationship with a manufacturer in China. Right. But these are U.S. businesses, U.S. families who are just facing a decimatingly high level of tariffs.